Hi everyone, Mary at Espresso Press Design. Thank you for joining me today. When you see this, it will be September 30th. I'm still filming ahead because I am still not well. I do have a new paper though, Cottage, which is 5 pages of some pretty cottage type florals in warm colors. I might do a cool color version in the near future, not sure, but it's in collage section on Etsy. So today, I'm sorry again, I'm going to be doing something easy because I have to rest. I developed, what's it called? Ramsay Hunt syndrome. Although it's getting better, everything's getting better, but yesterday I had vertigo. So I haven't been down here. It's just I have to rest. That has to be number one. So today I'm just gonna be doing some painting papers in my cool collection here. You would not believe how many papers I have stacked up in my painted paper section, and I've just divided them into warm and cool. And I have quite a few bloody type papers, blotter type papers that need some work, or they need put in another category or something else to that effect. Papers like this. So I think I am just going to choose a couple here and work on those with some watercolor stamping, which is what I was doing yesterday. So that was something similar, and I just did a little more design on top, and that was the end of yesterday's session. So I apologize, although, you know, I apologize that I haven't been able to well prepare. I'm not apologizing that I'm sick, but I apologize for my lack of usual preparation. So, okay, what I have been using, I got some watercolor or some rubber stamps, stamp roller, and some extra mediums, acrylic pencils, gel pens, and I only have one set of oil pastel or oil crayons out here, water soluble. So that's what I was using. And I'm just going to continue to do that. Add a little more color to these, maybe. And get some watercolor patterns on there, and then play around after it dries and add some other mediums. So again, I apologize. Well, this one looks pretty clear enough, or, you know, covered enough, so I'm just going to begin with a stamp. And as I said, I usually stick with warm or cool so I don't get mud. Even my watercolor tray here needs some refreshing with color. I haven't even done that. Pretty sure I said that a time or two ago. But this began, probably the Friday before Labor Day, and I'm putting some greenish yellow on the center. And I'm going to put some other colors on so I can get some variation here. This began in earnest Labor Day weekend, the Friday before Labor Day weekend, but it probably began earlier than that. Thinking, you know, trying to discern what could have happened. That has a little too much water on it, but that's okay. I was getting ready for the yard sale, which I have conceded defeat. I did fall asleep in the sun like 3 times. That was probably not a good idea. Well, according to the experts, that might not have been a good idea for shingles development. So, I don't know. Although I will say, it's pretty difficult for me to fall asleep in the sun, so I must have been really tired. So something might have been coming on anyway. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Because sometimes you just have to put yourself on the front burner. And I was working pretty hard to get that accomplished. The garage was half full. I started crying. My husband said he would do it for me. And then his schedule is kind of preventing that. So I decided to take the pressure off both of us. And I'll just go to plan B, I guess. I think, as I said in last video, I wish I had the space to do a pop-up shop that was actually big enough and warm enough to stay open all year. Although I don't know. I've been seriously thinking about going back to doing more local stuff, but I don't know about that either. I think it's a very good idea for everyone, but you know, the internet is not what it's cracked up to be as far as commerce. Meanwhile, you know, I have a neighbor who is on the board at one of our local tourist attractions who says, keeps telling me they can't keep enough handmade items in stock in their shop. And I know more than one person that says that. Meanwhile, you might be waiting 100 years to get a sale on the internet, and even then it's probably a fraud. Which I've been going through as well on every platform I'm on. With identity theft and credit card thieves, apparently. So, you know, it's a good idea to not forget how people used to conduct life. Okay, so that's kind of something that I did yesterday. And then I went in and I just painted the center with a very dark. This stamp was pretty much working the best for this. And then I just filled in some spaces with that. Kind of like a masterboard. I do have some cool new number stamps. I didn't even feel good enough to go to Goodwill yesterday, even though I wanted to. I don't know. I had vertigo. I wasn't afraid I was going to fall down, but at the same time, I just thought maybe I better not. So I'm just doing what they say. Symptom control. Just has to run its course. Although I am at risk for some more negative outcomes. So that's why I'm taking it seriously. There's no way I'm going through that. The more negative possibilities on the spectrum. But I will say it was quite painful. It was quite painful. Let's see. Need something up there. A few more. Okay. That's a pattern. Wait, I need something in there. A little bit. Then I'll see what parts of this are dry. Start working on there. Let me show you what I have been doing in my spare time. I am trying to get some sets of these done for my friends. As a thank you. And I was just as surprised as everyone that I did not have a lot of gold or gray in my fabric stash. So had to go shopping for that because I asked them to tell me the colors in their house. And I finally, took me forever to even come up with an idea of what something they might like that I didn't already send them. So that's what I did when I could. The problem is I have a hard time. I need a brighter light in my bedroom. So okay, let's get some mark making on here. Where are we? 16, 18. Can't even see. Okay. What do I want? I don't know if I want circles. So I'm thinking. Just going to get some marks on here. Some similar colors. To put that 3 different places. I should have been turning my paper. Although it doesn't matter. That was a square. But if you have a stamp with a directional, turn your paper. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there one day at the computer, and all of a sudden I felt like my face got a shot of Novocaine. My jaw, actually, not my face. And it was not a stroke. Don't worry about it. It was not a stroke. It's just something that can happen. when you get shingles, I call it Justin Bieber face. And in 99% of people, it resolves. So I'll cross that bridge when I get to it if it doesn't. And so far, it is. Everything is. What else? I need a mark making refresher. Although I love using these papers. Although generally I choose the most colorful. But I would encourage it. I would just encourage it because everything is so, with AI, I feel it's more important than ever to create. Even if this is just pattern. It's where we are. But sometimes out of pattern comes distinction. And this is just very relaxing and very calming. So I encourage it as often as possible for everyone. Eventually you will come up with something that will spark your interest as a way to use it or something else to do. That will be more that will be less rote in the meantime. You've just got a nice mixed media background. That you can use for something else. And there is another thing I want to show you. I don't think it's worth a video. Where'd it go? I'm going to put this aside to finish drying. I don't think it's worth a video, but you might find it interesting. So, if you want to do a background on your paper without a background printing. Now this only works on an inkjet, as far as I know. Technically, I do not have a laser printer I do not know if it will work on a laser printer, but what you can do is just spray the front, and this will appear on the back. Okay? Now I learned that by accident. So if you are worried about losing your design, you really won't, okay? You really won't. So this is just an example. Say that you wanted to not have water hit this. You can just spray this part, mask this part off, and then what you will get is something like this. Okay? So, I have a few here. And another thing to remember is that words in numbers will be backwards on the back side. But I think that's kind of pretty, and I think it's worth playing with. And as I said, I do not know. I highly doubt it will work on printed paper, not, scrapbook paper that you buy from the store. I highly doubt it will work on that. But I'm just going to show you here a similar example. I have another copy of this. Of one of these. Okay, it goes like that. So what I have, and it does work with regular water, but I happen to have alcohol in here, probably 50-50. So I'm just going to spray the front in some particular areas. Mostly just the corners, although I'm sure I'm going to hit everywhere. And then I would not turn it over to let it sit like this, because then your ink will smear. I would just take a dryer to this immediately so this will not smear or run. And then there you have it. You have a pretty little back page pattern. As much as you want. I might spray that corner a little more. Like that. But I would not let that sit. Okay? I would just make sure you have it coming through and then dry the front immediately, or your ink will begin to smear and spread onto your surface. So I hope that makes sense. Okay? I don't think that's worth a video, but it is fun and it is pretty, and that's something you can try. And I actually discovered that by accident. I have a gazillion digitals that need something done with them. So, okay, I think I'm just going to get started on this one a little bit. And we are at 30. So I think I'm probably going to call this finished for the day. And go back up and get my rests. soon as I find my other two that I already did. Okay, there's one. And there's the other one. So now I have some new painting papers to play around with. And I'm going to put that on top there so it's still not dry. But it is what it is. And I hope, I truly hope that next time I will be on, I will be well and able to resume my normal schedule and normal function, and can put all this behind me. Sorry for talking so slow and thinking so slow, but it still kind of hurts, and I kind of always have a little bit of a pain in my ear and in my neck, and actually it wears me out more than working 12 hours a day. So, okay everyone, thanks so much for your time, and I hope to see you next time. You have a great day and a great week. Bye.